have some freedom, but really to explore as well. So let me set the scene to what a luxury short break is. So if you love the idea of dining at chef hat restaurants, having wine experts that really bring wine to life with the food pairing as well, if hiking amongst some really spectacular and natural breathtaking scenery is for you, amazing. If not, don't worry, because you can sit back, indulge and just relax, maybe with a book, a latte, or maybe even a glass of champagne, overlooking some beautiful sparkling azure waters, or it may even be being one with the Australian bush in Wilpena Pound as an example. If staying in award-winning hotels such as the Sapphire on the east coast of Tasmania at Freycinet, dining in wine cellars, or staying amongst some of Australia's most incredible vineyards, or as I mentioned, being one with the bush, then look no further than our luxury short breaks. Now, I'm going to start out west with our Margaret River Explorer. We spent 5 nights staying at the incredible Pullman Bunker Base. We have 5 nights there after we start from Perth. This hotel in itself, you could spend as long as you want there, and there is so much to do and see, but it is also the perfect opportunity to sit back, relax and indulge. So we're beginning in Perth. We're coming down, and what I find with this itinerary is it is quite diverse as well, because you do have the option to visit Mammoth Caves, which we all do actually experience. And this is where you're finding fossilised prehistoric remains, and they're quite accessible, these Mammoth Caves, in that they're 30 metres deep and about 500 metres long. And the way they've built it is quite spectacular. They've got these boardwalks that go quite around it, and you've kind of accessed these cave systems as well. And it is so incredible because you have these fossils that sit in the limestone walls. So yeah, it's really quite incredible. But you also get to dine in some of WA's most favourite and most beautiful vineyards, and you very much are in for a culinary experience as well, because you do get to visit Margaret River Chocolate Company and also the Nougat Company. But don't worry, because there is some beautiful hikes that are involved as well. But I think one of the major highlights of this itinerary is visiting Vasse Felix Winery. We are in for an absolute treat here, and it is now my absolute pleasure to introduce our very special guest. It's the estate sommelier, Evan Gill from Vasse Felix. Hello, Evan. How are you?
Hello, Jill. Hi, I'm very well. How are you today?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Now, can I start by asking you about your role? What do you do at this incredible vineyard?
Sure. I love my role. I've got quite a diverse role, I guess. I guess first and foremost, I am the sommelier in the restaurant, so I do work looking after and curating our back vintage wine list that we have available always, of our archive wines. Mm-hmm. Of course, as a som, I also work with the chefs in the kitchen, because we do always have a perfect pairing with all of our dishes. We have a 5-course tasting menu, so I'm always sort of touching base with the chefs and trying new things and just working out how we can obviously champion our wines, but also do that with a 2-hatted restaurant as well. So that's probably the main crux of what I do. I've got the green shirt on today. I've actually just jumped out of the cellar door. We're open 7 days a week.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's a tough gig, but someone has to do it.
Exactly.
So I work in the cellar door as well, and obviously conduct some of the behind-the-scenes experiences, tours, and do a little bit of travel here and there. Work with some of the teams up in Perth and distributors and all of the good stuff. Just try and spread the word about Vasse Felix and Margaret River.
It must be nice to always come home to the backdrop of Margaret River. And now you are Melbourne born and bred. Before we get into the magical experiences for our APT guests, what brought you to work at Margaret River?
It's a good question. Melbourne born and bred, lived on the Mornington Peninsula for a few years, background in tourism, hospitality, and developing a love for wine at a young age. Also surfing. So basically when you combine good wine, good waves, you've got to come over to Margaret River and check it out. And that's what I did. That was almost 10 years ago now. Came over on a holiday, spent 10 days here in the southwest, fell in love, and basically knew that I'd found where I wanted to live for the rest of my life. So Yeah, it was quite an easy thing. Come on a holiday, realise that you've found paradise, and basically never go home again.
Well, you've got a pretty impressive office we can just see right here as well. So
Yes.
our guests really are in for a wonderful treat with you. So we get to dine with you. We get to have lunch with you with paired wines. We also, probably with your thanks actually, Evan, we get to have a real insight into the wine making process with some beautiful tastings as well. And we've also got an art gallery on site as well. So if I was an APT guest rocking up to Vasse Felix right now, can you try and bring the experience to life, and what can they expect for a day out with you?
Absolutely. So the photo you're looking at is looking across our home vineyard. The vines in the foreground are our old Shiraz. So back in 1967, Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec and Shiraz were planted, and they're the oldest vines in this region. So you would actually basically walk right next to those, walk up to that building in the background, greet you at the door, maybe have a glass of bubbles on arrival, a little bit of a sparkling wine celebration. We have a museum here. It's actually just down to my left where I'm sitting right now, which is in the underground cellar. So we drop down into the museum, where we can check out a display of the old wines, but also talk a little bit of history and a little bit of story about the development of Margaret River as a wine region, obviously about our history here at Vasse Felix. We can pop out into the vineyard, into that particular vineyard, and have a look at the old vines. Tasting, of course, you've got to have a private tasting if you're coming to Vasse Felix, so we can run you through the key wines. That photo there is actually the private tasting table, which is downstairs in the vault, underground there, a couple of feet underground. And then, of course, all of that happens before you do head upstairs to the restaurant for lunch. The number of options, 3-course menu with matched wines. You can even extend that out to larger menus. And there's also, of course, always an a la carte menu on offer. So what we really try and do is immerse guests in what we do here and why we do it, but also try and do it with a pretty fine edge as well. It's pretty relaxed at Vasse Felix, but we do consider our offering to be of a pretty high quality as well.
Fantastic. If you were to dine at the restaurant right now, what's one of your favourite dishes?
At the moment, we have an entree, and it's actually matched with the Shiraz from those old vines, and it's a kangaroo dish. And it's such a delicate, well-cooked, balanced little entree that I can't get enough of it at the moment. Little salt bush on there, which is one of the plants that grows out here in the sand dunes. A macadamia thing. It works really well, but we always usually have some sort of, well, obviously a bit of seafood being out here in the southwest as well. We've got access to some incredible shellfish and fish as well. And nanagai is one of the local fish just off the coast here. It's caught just off the coast down the road. And that with Chardonnay is something that I find hard to go past always. But I mean, the menu's always changing. It's not that we have a summer menu and a winter menu, but it's basically changing as different ingredients come into season, different things come on. We've just sort of moved out of truffle season, for instance, so they've just come off the menu. It really depends, and there's always little tweaks to the dishes happening quite constantly. So, it's hard to actually choose a particular thing that I'd eat, but the fish dish and the kangaroo at the moment are superb. And
of course, it's part of your very arduous task of having to sample all of these food dishes before you're able to pass it on. So I feel for you. Now, hopefully you've got a little bit of time before you go, because I would love to do a little bit of wine taste myself to get myself into the whole spirit of what our guests can enjoy. So I've managed to go out and purchase a bottle of Vasse Felix. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Please don't judge me. I am no expert, but I'm going to try and put your skills to the test to see if you can try and guess what I'm tasting.
Okay, challenge. I like it.
Okie dokie.
Hopefully I get the colour right at least.
Okay, so alrighty, I'm going to give it a go. So I guess by looking at it, it's kind of bright, but it's also like a pale kind of a straw kind of appearance. I know that probably sounds like it's contradicting itself, but on the nose, it's quite elegant on the nose. It's got a little bit of citrus. It's almost like some white fleshed stone fruit, but I've got a bit of a nutty kind of a taste coming through as well. So just coming to have a bit of a try. That is absolutely delicious. It's quite soft and creamy, but the flavours building as well. I'm getting some lovely fresh acidity that's coming through. A bit of like white flesh peach almost, but I do have that nutty taste as well. So what am I trying?
I think I know what you're trying. That's a really good tasting note that you just put together, by the way. You're either a very well-educated taster or a very well-educated drinker.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. I think what you just tasted is our Filius Chardonnay.
You're good.
It's the Filius Chardonnay.
That is the Filius Chardonnay. Actually, can you try and guess what year it is?
Well, the way you're describing it sounds quite fresh and vibrant, and it sounds to me like it's quite young. So I'm probably going to say it's our current release, which would be the 2019.
You're an absolute genius. You're exactly right. Well done.
I get to keep the job.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on board. So enjoy that job of yours, and thank you so much for giving us an insight into what you do. And thank you so much in advance for looking after our APT guests. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I very much looking forward to welcoming some of you to the estate in the near future. Cheers.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, I'm now going to head into South Australia and talk to you about our other itineraries. So we've got this incredible option over in South Australia, taking in the Flinders Ranges. And yes, this is for the wine lovers, but it's also for the nature lovers and I guess the lovers of being in the Australian bush. So you're heading up into the heart of the Flinders Ranges National Park. You're also heading into Wilpena Pound, which is like a real beautiful natural amphitheatre, but you've also got this really great balance of history in there as well, with, I guess, this itinerary houses some of the best fossil remains in the whole of Australia. So we're beginning having 6 nights in boutique accommodation. We begin in Mount Lofty in the Adelaide Hills. We're having an awesome dinner here at the Hardy's Veranda restaurant, which has a 3-chef hat rating. We're heading up into the Barossa. We have 3 nights at the Louise, which is surrounded by some of the most stunning vineyards in the whole of Adelaide. Then it's a whole different kind of experience as well. So we're having a glamping experience at Wilpena Pound. And this is where you're just at one with the Australian bush and you're surrounded by the pines and the gums here. And it is really a chance to sit back, relax, and just, I guess, be really spoilt with what we have here in our own backyard. We also go to Jacobs Creek, which is the oldest commercial winery in the whole of Australia. And we learn from a wine master here, once again, about the food and the wine pairing. Then I guess from here, one of the other highlights of this itinerary is heading into Seppersfield Vineyard, which is where we have our farewell dinner. So once again, we're having some beautiful dishes. We're having paired wines as well. But this vineyard in itself is so spectacular because you've got 420 acres of vineyards and you've got underground cellars, and it's all like the architecture here will absolutely blow your mind. Now we're heading into Tasmania. So Tasmania, we have a really lovely itinerary where we start off in Hobart, but we're heading up to the east coast of Tasmania into Freycinet, where we have 2 nights at the award-winning Sapphire, which was voted as Australia's best luxury hotel. And this is where you can really immerse yourself into the wonders of the destination, including Wineglass Bay, and also Coles Bay and Freycinet in general. With a guide here, once again, you can do as much or as little as you like. So you can, if you like, have a guided walk into Wineglass Bay. You can go kayaking, bird watching, you can play golf, or you can just sit back, relax, and really indulge. As far as the historical perspective is concerned, we have some great convict history. So we can head across by ferry into Mariah Island. Mariah Island is absolutely stunning in itself again. It's got natural wildlife on Mariah Island. It's got stunning flowers. It's got incredible beaches here as well. But the rugged cliff ranges as well, it's a real contrast when you're over here in Mariah Island. And it really brings this historical perspective into play because it's one of the oldest penal settlements or penal colonies dating back to 1825. We then come down into Hobart, where we have 3 nights at the Henry Jones Art Hotel. This is once again quite diverse because it's a real fusion of the old and the new art. Each hotel room has its own unique piece of artwork, and there are 500 pieces of artwork that line the hotel walls as well. One of the highlights of this itinerary, again, is heading into Mona, which is the Museum of Old and New Art. And this has over 1,900 different styles of artwork that are all on a rotating basis. So you can go there 2 different days. You can go there twice and get a whole different perspective. And it's quite, the way to probably put Mona is it's quite eclectic because you've got a bit of a mixture of modern, contemporary and ancient art. And it's, it's definitely a conversation point after visiting Mona. And on site there at Mona as well is Marilla Estate, where we'll have a beautiful lunch and a wine tasting in their cellar door. So that just gives you a very brief insight into the wonders of what our luxury short breaks offer. So in summary, it's small groups, it's luxury, it's all about the experiences and food and wine and nature and relaxing and indulging. And as I said before, let's face it, we all deserve to be spoiled and to indulge. So for any more queries, or if you'd like to know any more about this, please visit AP Touring, or please contact 1300 202 192, or please see your local travel agent. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you.